All right, guys, so we've got the XR920 Elite out here with the O side on it, and we've got the XR920 Foundation. So I've got a few goodies down here from Shadow Systems. So this gun, I didn't get anything with it at all, so I wanted to get another bag for it. So I've got, this is for the Elite, so it's got all the goodies in there that I didn't have for the Foundation. So I just picked up another bag. All of this stuff is actually super cheap from Shadow Systems website. So, and then on the Elite, it's got the extra magwell here. So I got another magwell because the frames are essentially the exact same. So I'm gonna throw that magwell on. The magwell tool, I've already got one of those with the Elite, so I didn't rebuy all the missing pieces. One thing I was missing from this was the gap back here at the back of the slide. I got the piece to fill that now. These are $1 something a piece from Shadow Systems. So really good prices on their website. And then pretty cool Statue of Liberty with a Shadow Systems. And then this is the really cool thing. This is the compensator for the MR, the DR, and the XR if you've got the threaded barrel. So we're gonna end up putting that on here too. So we're souping this one up because it's not really a carry gun for me at all. And then this is actually my full-time carry now. So just wanted to have that added magwell on it. So nothing huge there. On the magwell, I'll go ahead and drop that out. On the magwell, we've got the pin here, and then this is your tool. So you push the pin out. The tool works great. The pins come out really simple. And then with the new magwell, flared magwell here, grab it out. It has this little pin. Now, usually there's a plug in here. This one was actually missing the plug also, but this piece will go in the gun, okay, like that. And then this piece will be added to this, okay? So, and it's a little weird, a little wonky to figure out, getting them on and off. This is also how you change out the back straps. Now, I've got all the back straps for this one. This one I do not. But this will kind of all snap on like that right there. And now I'll put the pins in. So I've got a pin to go there and a pin to go in here. So pretty sure the long pin was the one that was in here, and I can't really remember, but there you go. Use the back side of this, push it down, make it nice and flush, and you can look at the other side. You can countersink it a little bit, and that's fairly even there. And then I've got the shorter one I want to put down through here and make sure that my hole is good and lined up, but that locks this in place. It's actually on there fine, but the little pin, this locks the pin to the gun. The other side actually locks the magwell into place. And then again, got that pushed down, and then just make sure that I'm all the way on both sides. And now we've got a flared magwell on both of the guns. And the way that they design these, they're like a perfect fit. I mean, it looks like it's part of the gun. Now this obviously looks like it's an addition, but this does not. This is nice, smooth into the magwell, which is actually pretty neat. So that, I like the way this feels on my hands for sure, because it's got a nice lip there, kind of locks it in place, and obviously makes mag changes a little bit easier. Now I did get 2 of these because I'm probably going to get another RMR style mount of some type of optic for that. Hopefully another O-sight, because I really like these things. Really enjoyed the 2 that I've got, and they just look awesome. So really nice deal there. So works great, nice and tough. So with this, I'm gonna lock it back, take off the thread saver. Let's go ahead and pull this out. And with this, you've got some Loctite, you've got a wrench, and get everything out of here. There we go. This is the actual compensator here. So this fits perfectly against the slide, because this one doesn't have a threaded barrel. I can show you on it. It looks just like that. It fits perfectly with the edge of the slide. Now, for me, I would like to see the same color they use on the slide as the compensator, but that's not how Shadow Systems does it. They do this more of a black, but it still looks really nice. So check, make sure. Installation instructions are super simple. Again, pop the gun back like this, put the threaded piece on, and then with it held in alignment, partially tighten both set screws. It's good. There you go. And then torque to 20 to 30 inch-pounds. That's pretty darn tight if you only have an Allen head, but don't go crazy and strip the screws. That's literally verbatim what it says. That's pretty darn tight if you only have an Allen key. So that is pretty darn tight for 20 or 30 inch-pounds off of literally a half-inch piece. That means you only got half inches of torque, which means you need to do about 60 foot-pounds with half inches of torque of this sticking out here off of the pivot point, which is kind of funny. And then obviously make sure the slide functions and all that good stuff. Let's see. Should be a small gap at battery. Now, the one thing they don't talk about here is the included Loctite is not for barrel threads. It is optional insurance on the set screws, but it's not required. Okay, that's good to know. So I'd rather not put Loctite on it and see how that does without using the Loctite. Just because I don't like the idea of using the Loctite on here in general. But it does come with actual Loctite. This is the 243, which is, I think, blue Loctite. So it's not that bad to mess with, but it's not required. But it is not for these threads. It's only for these threads. If you want to take those out all the way, you can run them down. And like I said, I really don't want to do that. So I'm going to put all this on. I'm going to go ahead and pull the gun apart. Super simple. Pull the two pieces down here. Pull it back, and you do have to pull the trigger like a Glock. And take the guide rod out. It is a captive guide rod. And now we can push the barrel out again and thread it on here. And then this will go to a certain amount of stop, which is not, right, it won't go all the way around here, and you don't want to do that. You want it to have a small gap. So what you've got to do is line this up, and then when you drop it back into battery, you want to make sure that it's got a little bit of a gap, right? Because you don't want it resting against this. You don't want to screw that up. And if you want more, you can always bring it out a little bit more. And I think I do. So I'm going to screw it out a little bit more, one more time around. And now there's more of a gap there. So I feel better about that. And you can line up your hole here on your guide rod. So as long as that's lined up in there, right, and lined up here, then you've got it set where you want it to be. And it can't move too much when it's back in the battery, but you want to make sure that stays lined up. And we can tighten these up a little bit. And what's neat about this is it actually just pushes down tighter on the piece that holds the threads. It in itself does not screw these onto your threads. You're not going to mess up any of the threads. You can still throw a can on here or whatever you want to do there. So that is kind of nice. Let's see. These are fairly tight inside there anyways. So I put a little bit. I just slipped out of that one. Let's see here. Well, don't screw this up. So we get a little bit more on here. We got a couple inches here. So we can put a little bit of tightening on there. It's pretty darn tight. Make sure you got off a little bit. So I'm gonna loose that one up. And it will move around slightly as you're tightening. We've got one partially tight and one loose now. Let's see if we can just get her to line up exactly where we want it. That looks pretty good there. I like the gap, and it feels pretty darn smooth. Let's crank her down, and then we should be happy with that. So again, get it pretty dang tight, but you don't want to strip these out. You don't want to strip out the Allen for one thing, but you don't want to strip out the screws either. Luckily, this is a steel screw, but it is in probably aluminum for this compensator, so you don't want to go crazy. But that is on there, so you see how when it goes in the battery now, It rests right next to the slide, but doesn't actually touch the slide or doesn't kiss it or nothing like that. And I probably put a little bit more of a gap than maybe you could. You could probably bring it in one more, but this looks totally fine to me. And it's my gun, so I'm gonna do it this way. There we go. Oh, I put it together. I put it together, but did not put the guide rod in, so it's loosey-goosey. Drop that part in. There. Definitely feels different putting it back together with the compensator on there. There we go. Now, all right, guys. So look at that. You can see, got the gap here, and it goes right back in the battery, perfectly fine. And it definitely changes the look of the gun. Right now, you've got this added piece out here. But what's cool is with the compensator is you've got the big hole at the top. So the majority of the gas as you're firing the bullet now, instead of just going wherever, is forced upwards. So that pushes the gun down as the gas comes up. So it keeps you on target better. So you can pretty much stay right on target, which will be pretty nice. It's only 9 mil, so it's not too bad, but these are fairly lightweight guns. But that looks pretty wicked, having the Shadow Systems compensator on there. And it's nice and tight. You can see it does move into the frame slightly, so you definitely want to have it lined up. And as it comes together, it all pushes up at one time. But again, there's a slight gap around all of it, so that's not banging into it. So you don't want to do that. You don't want to screw up your gun for one thing, but you don't want to mess it up. So that looks pretty wicked right there. And I like the idea of not using the thread locker. Again, if you want to use the thread locker, go right ahead. I'm going to wait and see, make sure that everything does good. And as long as it's fine, then I probably won't ever use the thread locker. I'll just keep it all together in that box. The last thing I want to do is put the spacer in behind the slide. And on it, you can notice down in here, you've got 2 little divots made into the slide. Those 2 little divots are right here on this piece. So those actually drop into the slide and then rest against this. So I'm going to throw those on now. I may have to go through and I may have to break it back loose. It should go right back down to where it is. This thing was super easy to zero, and it's held well through the shooting that I've done with it on screen and off. But I think that looks pretty wicked. So here we go. A couple additions for each one of those. And like I said, I'm going to throw one of these on, and that'll finish it up. All right, guys, we got the Shadow Systems XR920 Elite out here. Now with a compensator, just got some full metal jacket rounds in here. So let's see how it does. Man, it is extremely accurate. You can see that it's staying right on target. It's doing really good. You can see I'm just shooting the metal flip target down here, and it did really good. So that's awesome. It did very, very, very good. So that's nice. Now I'm gonna do some rounds with the slow-mo so you can kind of see how the action is. All right, guys, so ran through a few of those. Now I've got some hollow points here. So just running, I'm not gonna waste a bunch of these, but just stick it through the gun pretty quickly and see how that does. All right, that did pretty good. That stayed on target really nice. I was just running through some rounds quickly And you can see it was just barely moving on right back on target. So that's awesome.
HiRevz Media is sponsored by Born to Ride Motorcycle Magazine. Check out borntoride.com.